Helping is often misunderstood as an automatic moral duty, yet wisdom teaches that help without awareness can become harm. When assistance is offered without understanding the inner condition of the person receiving it, both sides suffer. The intention may be pure, but intention alone does not determine outcome. True help must be guided by clarity, timing, and responsibility. When you help someone who is not ready, you interfere with a process that life itself is trying to teach. Struggle is not always an enemy. Often, it is the classroom. Pain, failure, and discomfort are instructors that refine awareness and discipline. By removing these lessons too early, you may provide comfort, but you also delay growth. What feels like kindness in the moment can become cruelty in the long term. Many people ask for help not because they want to change, but because they want relief without transformation. They want the pressure removed while keeping the same habits, the same thinking, and the same avoidance of responsibility. When help is given in such situations, it reinforces dependence. The person learns that consequences can be outsourced and that someone else will carry the weight they refuse to hold. Over time, this weakens their character and exhausts the one who helps. Wise assistance does not rescue people from the results of their actions. It guides them toward understanding those results. There is a difference between support and substitution. Support strengthens a person's ability to stand on their own, while substitution replaces their effort with yours. The first builds independence, the second creates dependency. If your help removes the need for effort, discipline, or self-reflection, it is not help, it is interference. There is also danger in helping from ego. Sometimes people help to feel needed, important, or morally superior. This form of help is subtle and deceptive. It binds the helper and the receiver in an unhealthy dynamic where growth becomes secondary to emotional validation. True help is quiet, sometimes uncomfortable, and often requires restraint rather than action. Wisdom understands timing. A seed forced open too early is destroyed. In the same way, guidance given before a person accepts responsibility is wasted. Responsibility is the foundation of growth. Without it, advice becomes noise, resources become crutches, and compassion becomes enablement. When someone refuses responsibility, the most educational response is to let reality speak where words cannot. This does not mean abandoning others or becoming indifferent to suffering. It means recognizing that not all suffering should be removed. Some suffering sharpens awareness, builds humility, and awakens discipline. Interfering with that process robs a person of inner strength. The highest form of help is not solving problems for others, but teaching them how to face problems with clarity and courage. Sometimes this means stepping back, allowing discomfort, and trusting that the individual is capable of learning. Boundaries are not rejection, they are guidance. Refusal, when rooted in wisdom, becomes a silent teacher. In the end, helping without wisdom creates weakness, while helping with discernment builds strength. The goal is not to save people from life, but to prepare them to meet life with responsibility, awareness, and inner stability. Personal responsibility is the foundation upon which all genuine growth stands. Without it, effort becomes scattered, learning remains superficial, and transformation never fully takes root. A person may receive guidance, resources, or encouragement, but if they do not accept ownership of their thoughts, actions, and outcomes, nothing truly changes. Responsibility is the moment an individual stops waiting for rescue and begins engaging with life directly. Many people believe growth comes from external help, better circumstances, more support, or the right mentor. While guidance can be useful, it cannot replace inner commitment. When someone refuses responsibility, they unknowingly give their power away. They place control in the hands of others, events, or luck. This mindset keeps them trapped in reaction rather than action. True growth begins when a person recognizes, my life is shaped by how I respond, not by what happens to me. Responsibility is not about blame or harsh self-judgment. It is about clarity. It is the ability to observe one's behavior honestly and say, this is my pattern, and I must address it. Without this honesty, learning becomes distorted. Advice is heard but not applied. Feedback is received but not integrated. Challenges repeat themselves because the lesson was avoided. When help is given to someone who has not accepted responsibility, it often backfires. Instead of empowering them, it confirms their belief that someone else will fix things. Each act of rescue weakens their willingness to face difficulty. Over time, they become dependent, not because they are incapable, but because they have been protected from accountability. This creates frustration for both sides. The one receiving help feels stuck, and the one giving help feels drained. Responsibility also requires patience. Growth is rarely immediate. It demands consistency, discipline, and the willingness to endure discomfort. Many people want results without the process. They want confidence without practice, peace without self-control, and clarity without reflection. When responsibility is avoided, effort becomes optional and transformation remains theoretical. Education, in its truest form, does not remove struggle. It teaches how to engage with it intelligently. A responsible person asks different questions. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" they ask, "What is this teaching me?" Instead of seeking someone to blame, they look for adjustments they can make. This shift changes everything. The same situation that once felt like punishment becomes training. No one can grow on behalf of another. You can show the path, but you cannot walk it for them. You can offer tools, but you cannot use them in their place. When this truth is ignored, help turns into control and care turns into interference. Allowing someone to carry their own responsibility is not abandonment. It is respect. Responsibility restores dignity. It reminds a person that they are capable of learning, adapting, and overcoming. Once this foundation is in place, help becomes effective, guidance becomes meaningful, and growth becomes inevitable. Without responsibility, nothing sticks. With it, even small efforts create lasting change. Energy is not only physical strength, it is attention, emotion, time, and intention. Wherever these are directed, life begins to move in that direction. This is why awareness of where one invests energy is essential. When attention is scattered or given carelessly, inner balance weakens. When it is directed with intention, clarity and stability grow. Every interaction is an exchange of energy. Conversations, conflicts, and emotional attachments all require focus and presence. When these are given to individuals who constantly complain, resist growth, or remain trapped in destructive patterns, the exchange becomes one-sided. Instead of renewal, there is depletion. Over time, this drains motivation, patience, and inner calm. Attention amplifies what it touches. When someone repeatedly focuses on negativity, drama, or helplessness, those patterns gain strength. By continuously engaging with such individuals, one unintentionally reinforces their behavior. They feel validated not in their effort to change, but in their refusal to do so. Energy meant for growth is redirected towards stagnation. This is why discernment is essential. Not every problem deserves your attention. Not every emotional story requires your involvement. Choosing where to place energy is not selfish, it is strategic. A disciplined mind understands that limited resources must be used wisely. Time wasted cannot be recovered, and emotional exhaustion weakens judgment. Many people confuse empathy with overexposure. Empathy allows understanding without absorption. Overexposure absorbs emotional weight that does not belong to you. When boundaries are absent, the helper begins to carry burdens that others must face themselves. This creates imbalance and eventually resentment. Energy also shapes identity. The people and situations you engage with regularly influence how you think, feel, and act. Constant exposure to chaos trains the nervous system to remain alert and tense. Constant exposure to irresponsibility normalizes avoidance. Over time, this shapes character in subtle but powerful ways. Guarding energy is therefore not isolation, it is self-preservation. When energy is protected, it becomes available for meaningful effort, learning, discipline, service, and creativity. With clarity, help can be offered where it has the potential to create movement, rather than dependency. This is how assistance becomes effective instead of draining. It is important to understand that stepping back is sometimes an act of education. When attention is withdrawn from unhealthy patterns, individuals are forced to confront their own behavior. Silence, distance, and refusal can become mirrors. They reflect reality more clearly than constant involvement ever could. A disciplined life requires conscious allocation of energy. Each day presents countless demands, but not all deserve equal response. The wise observe before engaging. They ask whether their involvement will strengthen responsibility or prolong avoidance. If energy reinforces weakness, it must be redirected. By choosing carefully where attention flows, inner stability is preserved. Calm becomes consistent, purpose becomes clear, and actions regain precision. Energy is the currency of life. Spend it where growth is possible, and withdraw it where resistance is chosen. Boundaries are often misunderstood as rejection, coldness, or lack of care. In truth, boundaries are one of the clearest expressions of compassion. They define where responsibility lies and where it must be returned. Without boundaries, help loses its educational value and becomes an escape from growth. When someone is constantly rescued, they are denied the opportunity to develop inner strength. Comfort replaces effort, and dependency replaces resilience. A boundary interrupts this cycle. It signals that growth is required, not avoidance. This moment of refusal may feel uncomfortable, but discomfort is often the beginning of awareness. Compassion does not mean saying yes to every request. It means responding with wisdom. Sometimes the most caring action is to step back and allow consequences to teach what words cannot. Life is a far more powerful instructor than advice, and boundaries allow its lessons to be felt. Many fear that setting boundaries will make them appear unkind. This fear is rooted in the desire for approval. True compassion is not concerned with being liked. It is concerned with what is beneficial. When approval becomes the priority, clarity is sacrificed. Boundaries restore clarity. There is also self-respect within boundaries. When you consistently ignore your limits, you teach others how to treat you. Overextension leads to resentment, fatigue, and emotional withdrawal. Eventually, the help that once felt generous becomes forced and empty. A clear boundary preserves sincerity. Boundaries also protect relationships. Without them, roles become distorted. The helper becomes responsible for outcomes that are not theirs to control, and the receiver becomes passive. This imbalance erodes trust and mutual respect. A boundary reestablishes equality by reminding each person of their role. Refusal, when grounded in awareness, is not abandonment. It is an invitation for the other person to step into responsibility. It communicates trust in their ability to face challenges. This is far more empowering than constant intervention. Education requires space. Just as a teacher does not solve every problem for a student, a wise guide does not remove every obstacle. Obstacles train perception, discipline, and judgment. Boundaries allow this training to occur. When boundaries are absent, compassion becomes diluted. When they are present, compassion gains structure. Structure turns care into guidance rather than indulgence. Setting boundaries is not about control, it is about alignment. It aligns actions with values and ensures that help supports growth rather than dependency. In this way, boundaries serve both the giver and the receiver. Ultimately, boundaries are a quiet form of respect. They acknowledge the humanity and capability of the other person. They say, without words, you are strong enough to learn from this. This belief, expressed through restraint, is one of the deepest forms of compassion.